Last season, when you watched Illinois football, you saw a suffocating defense and you saw an offense that was extremely physical and could run the football very effectively. Well, this Illini team does things just a little bit differently.
From LA to Piscataway, all Big Ten all year long. This is Big Ten 10.
College football sometimes is all about evolving, and for Illinois to get the victory over Toledo, some evolution needed to take place. And that evolution, let's start on the offensive side of the football, because Luke Altmeyer, the transfer quarterback from Ole Miss, let's not sugarcoat it, he willed them to victory. Luke Altmeyer single-handedly took this game and said, I'm going to win this football game for the University of Illinois. Whether it was his mobile ability, being able to lead the team in rushing, and being able to slither his way through the Rockets defense to keep on moving the chains, or his great passing ability. You know, sometimes you miss a throw here, you miss a throw there. Although Luke Altmeyer didn't miss a ton of throws in this football game, he really made one bad decision. I think it was the third quarter where he threw that interception into triple coverage. But that was really the only bad decision that Luke Altmeyer made all night long. This is a quarterback he's better than Tommy DeVito. I had a good feeling he'd be better than Tommy coming into this season. I think through one game against a really good group of 5 team, I think we found out just how good Luke Altmeyer can be slinging the football around to some of these wide receivers. And like I said at the top of this video, things are different. This is not the Illinois team that you saw a year ago that pound the rock with Chase Brown game after game after game after game. Reggie Love and Josh McCray, they aren't those guys. Even together, I don't think these are guys that you can lean on to carry the load and establish that run game and be ultra physical at the line of scrimmage like they were last year. I almost see this run game as a complement to what Luke Altmeyer is going to do in the passing game to guys like Isaiah Williams, to guys like Pat Bryant. How about Casey Washington late in that game making the big play? And Luke Altmeyer, how about the gutsiness to stand in there and make that throw when the game is on the line? Both those guys kind of making the plays. But I've said this all throughout the offseason. I believe Illinois has some good weapons on the outside. And Luke Altmeyer, I thought, as a quarterback that could really take advantage of those weapons on the outside. I think we're going to see a little bit more in terms of maybe Isaiah Williams or some of these other guys. How about Pat Bryant? I've been raving about this guy for a couple of years now, and how about this game? He stepped up big time to be able to deliver a win for the fans in Champaign for the orange and blue. But it's Luke Altmeyer. He's going to be the focal point of this offense. I believe Illinois has a really good quarterback, and I mentioned his mobility as well is going to be something that you maybe didn't see a lot of from touchdown Tommy DeVito last season. Let's talk about the defensive side of the football for Illinois. They've got some work to do. I know Matthew Bailey was not in that secondary, and we know the losses as well from last season. We know Sidney Brown, we know Devin Witherspoon, we know all of that as well back there in that secondary. But you saw Toledo just kind of do what they wanted for a lot of this football game. To be honest with you, whoever was calling the plays for the Rockets was putting these guys in the perfect positions to succeed, and they always seem to call up the right play. How about DeQuan Finn in this one? I think his dual threat ability kind of caused some problems, even though he wasn't scrambling maybe a ton. It's just he scrambled enough and he got outside the pocket enough where he was able to make plays in those kinds of situations. Like, you look at the main 2 guys up front, Johnny Newton and Keith Randolph, right? You're depending on those guys to get into the backfield. These are some of the best defensive linemen in the Big Ten, but they combined for 0 sacks in this game, and they combined for 0.5 tackles for loss. Now, of course, they were able to get some tackles, solo tackles, combined tackles in the run game, but in terms of wreaking havoc, putting pressure on Toledo, that just wasn't there from Johnny Newton or Keith Randolph. Look, and as a whole, this Illinois defense really didn't do much in terms of getting into the backfield, because I think this is a team that can do that. And then, of course, some penalties in key situations allowed Toledo to stay in this football game. This is not the Illinois team that you saw from 2022. In college football, it's all about evolving, as I said at the top of this video. Illinois is going to have to evolve on the defensive side of the football. What's going to happen with that secondary? That is a big concern for me going forward, because you're going to face some good teams that can push the ball down the field in the Big Ten this season. You're going to face some good offenses in the Big Ten where you need to get pressure on the passer and you need to be good in the secondary. All right. We knew coming into this game that Toledo was a good team. Don't think all of a sudden because Illinois hit a walk-off field goal 30-28 against a group of 5 team that all of a sudden the ceiling's caving down in on the great season that Illinois had last year. This is a really good, it's a MAC championship team from last year, and it's slated to be another year where they could contend for that title once again. So the ceiling's not caving in, the sky's not falling, whatever analogy you want to use for Illinois right now, but there are some concerns right now. It's just everything's looking different. This is just a different Illinois team for Bret Bielema. I don't know if it's going to be the team that's going to wreak a bunch of havoc on defense. I think eventually we're going to see some games where that happened. It just didn't happen in this game. Toledo called a good enough game to kind of neutralize what Illinois really wanted to do on the defensive side of the ball. But it's that secondary. I think we're finding out how key Sidney Brown and Devin Witherspoon were to the cog in the machine, how big of a deal they were to the machine that was Illinois' defense last season. Now that you don't have those guys maybe back there in that secondary, how is that going to affect the rest of this defense? And I mentioned on the offensive side of the ball, right? This is a team that's going to throw it around a little bit more. This is not an Illinois team. I don't think that if you think that they're going to line up and impose their will, line up in an I formation and have Josh McCray and Reggie Love run the ball like Chase Brown last year, that's not going to happen. They're going to have to open it up a little bit more. Luke Altmeyer is their key, and that's a key that could unlock a lot of doors in the Big Ten this season. So it's a win for Illinois, but they got to keep on getting better, and there are big areas to still fix on this Illini team. But what a job by Luke Altmeyer when this team was down in the second half. A pick 6 by Miles Scott got him back into it, and Luke Altmeyer finished the job to get Illinois a 30-28 walk-off win over the Toledo Rockets. I want to hear what you guys think. Do you think Illinois, you think they're in trouble right now based on what we saw on Saturday, or are there some positive things to take away, especially with the performance of Luke Altmeyer? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching Big Ten Ted, where it's all Big Ten all year long. Make sure to like the video to spread the word of Big Ten Ted to the masses, and subscribe to the channel for updates on Big Ten content that drops every day.